on Frontstretch this week. Joy Tomlinson mentioning at the end of her column an interesting proposal regarding Hailie Deegan, who finished in 32nd place, was involved in a couple of late cautions, and certainly has not had the season that she would have liked, or that I think a lot of people in her camp would have expected this year. Joy was suggesting Hailie Deegan might want to consider a return to the ARCA platform. Brandon, what would you think of Deegan going back there where she had some success, and now the K&N, former K&N West Series now under the ARCA banner? What would you think of that idea to maybe rebuild Deegan's confidence here in the middle of what's been undoubtedly a very rough season?
You know, it has been hard to watch, and we did say I call back to it frequently. We talked about it at the start of the year. This is going to be a make or break year for Hailie Deegan. You move up to truck, you move up to Xfinity now with the 15 deal. It's got to work, or and we define that like, okay, what would be working? Well, this is far from where we would have hoped Hailie to be. Especially at this point in the year. I mean, it seems every time we get attention turned to her on the broadcast, it's for a wreck or for contact that is day ending. Just not what we wanted to see. And, you know, I'm glad it's not just some fuddy-duddy out on the internet that's saying, oh, it's time for her to reconsider, you know. But no, it's Joy from Frontstretch. And I'm glad it's, I'm glad we have a woman journalist also weighing in on this. She did say, as a woman, quote, I do like to see other women achieve their dreams and compete in NASCAR. It's certainly needed in a male dominated sport. And further went on to say that someone appears to be underperforming and not improving, then perhaps they need some more practice. And that goes for anyone in racing, she said, not just women. So going back to the ARCA Menard series is not a failure. It's not a giving up moment. It's not compromising as an athlete, as a driver for Hailie Deegan. I think this would be being realistic and just saying, okay, we need more practice. You can't practice in the Xfinity Series. If that's where the performance level is, if that's where the car is, you're not going to be getting wins in the Xfinity Series. Go somewhere where you're going to be capable of getting wins and getting practice and finishing races and finishing well, and then weigh your options from there. And there's always going to be those that are going to be wagging their tails and going, well, you know, she's giving up and all of that. But let's go back to ARCA and see what we can do. I would agree with that strongly. 27th in points. That's not where you want your star power to be, and I still feel she's capable of much better.
And to put that into further perspective, Eric Almirola is 24th in points. He's only run 5 races this year. Now, of course, he has a win. He has a second place finish where he won both stages and led the most laps. So all those bonus points, you know, certainly elevate him. Deegan obviously has not built up huge bad. I don't think she has any stage points, actually, just looking at the standings here. Just past Ryan Truex in points this weekend as well. Truex has only run 6 races. Of course, he also has a win, but when you're running full time, you know, you would expect to be ahead of drivers that have only made a handful of starts this year regardless. But getting back to your point, Brandon, and the point Joy was trying to make in her column as well, I don't think there's any shame in going back to that platform. You know, I mean, Frank Kimmel is, you know, for example, a legend in the world of American motorsports. Now, I'm not saying if Hailie Deegan goes back there, she's going to win 10 championships and 80-some races, but, you know, just not comparing Deegan to Kimmel either. But the point being that you can achieve long-term success in the ARCA platform without necessarily having to move up. You can make a nice career for yourself out of racing in that series, make a name for yourself. And I think doing that would be more fun, just to be quite honest. You know, and you know, there's always that cliche, you know, oh, it's not about winning, it's about having fun. Of course, when you get to the Xfinity Series, for example, and you're a Ford performance development driver, I'm not saying it's just about having fun. Of course, the goal is to win. Every driver, you know, would tell you that. But I do think, you know, it would also be a more enjoyable experience for her if she was somewhere where she could be competing, if not for wins, at least for top 5s and top 10s I have no reason to doubt that she'd be running any worse if she went back to ARCA than what she was running in 2020, her only full-time year there. So I think that's something that when you look at her performance in Xfinity this year, you look at what she did in trucks over 3 years with 2 different teams in David Gilliland Racing and ThorSport Racing. I just have yet to see any sort of indication that maintaining the status quo is going to lead her to long-term success. So if she wants to experience success in motorsports, which I very much still believe is possible, I'm not, going to be one of those trolls on the internet that says, Hailie Deegan is absolutely talentless and, doesn't deserve a place in this sport. She absolutely does. But it's clear that this current combination, this current experiment is not working. So why not take that step backwards where you've had some success in the past and try to rebuild your confidence, maybe win a race or two, and then maybe there's a truck or Xfinity team out there that offers you maybe not a full-time deal, but a part-time deal, gives you a handful of races, and you go back with that rebuild confidence, you see what you can do, and then maybe if you perform well, it leads to a full-time opportunity in the future. I feel like this idea that we've had, the truck series is a bloodbath, but, put her in a ThorSport truck, that's championship equipment, she'll show it, oh, well, okay, the truck series is still, put her in Xfinity, we can see what she can do with higher quality racing. Well, AM Racing's not that good. She deserves the top. I mean, that path clearly has been the argument for the last couple of years that her fans have been making on social media, and it's not been a good one because we haven't seen that step forward that everybody wants to see. I feel like, ironically, if you take that step backwards to the ARCA platform, we would see that step forward in terms of performance, and I think that it's not a bad idea for Deegan to consider that, and we'll see what happens here with the future for her career. I think, unless there's an incredible turnaround, it's probably going to be at a crossroads at the end of this season.